can never taste it sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact, and I can find no rest. This is love, yeah, love. Never known true love before. Seen so many counterfeits that left me on the floor. This is love, yeah, love. All will come to those who wait. Time it cannot know the bounds, and eras don't dictate.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, and welcome to, yes, you've guessed it, Xandermonium, the talk show that gets you talking. I'm Xander Gibb, and we will be joined momentarily by Tyhe, Paul Egar, who will be joining me to break down this week's hottest topics. And the phone-in today will be on the subject of all the topics we are going to be talking about. Make sure you call us and tell us what you think on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. If you want to comment on any of the topics that we are going to be discussing today, or even start your own. Oh, yes, indeed. Tonight we will be looking forward to watching another episode of the fabulous television show known as Orphan Black. And if you're in the Clone Club, you will know exactly what I am talking about. So make sure you get yourself along tonight to check out that very gripping episode of Orphan Black if you're in the Clone Club. And even if you're not in the Clone Club, get your ass along there. Oh, I said the A word. And make sure you watch that show tonight. And we're now joined by the one, the only, the late Mr. Tyhe Paul Egar. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Hello. I'm great. Sorry, I don't know that I had a complete head fit with Skype. Basically, it just cut me off. Sorry about that. Hello, everybody.
It's fine. I'm sick of random technologies and the effects they can have on what you're trying to achieve. Now, I know, like you, like me, Ty, have had rather a difficult week this week. Now, some people would say that that's down to Mercury in retrograde or the position of the stars. What say you?
I say it's because there's only one of me, like you, and there are only 24 hours in a day, and I get tired. So
me too. Absolutely, very tired.
Yeah, so I don't know who's in retrograde, but they're a pain in my ass. So okay.
You should be so lucky. So what I admitted to. Go on.
No, I know. I don't. Do we do astronomy? I don't buy astronomy, do I? I don't know what to do.
I don't know. I think it's okay for entertainment purposes. We often have Marissa Powell, who's a psychic medium, on the show, and she's intuitive, but I know there's something in it, but I don't know exactly what it is.
Well, I don't necessarily knock that, right? Sidekicks, so because you're kind of dipping into the vortex, and my belief system is the great consciousness and whatever. But saying, and astronomy, as in like that, Mercury's in retrograde and Jupiter aligns with Mars. There's a lyric there. I know, I'm aware, because it's the only thing I could think of. But I'm not buying that. I mean, obviously we are 66 to 73% water, and the planets affect gravity, and obviously the moon affects the oceans. So, but then an MRI machine affects us directly, and we don't change personalities in that, so I don't really buy all that bump. But I'm not knocking psychics, just in case they know something about me and they can ruin my career.
Yeah, don't call us or email us, because we really don't care. Yeah, I think what I was trying to highlight was that can't you just have a crappy week anymore? Does there have to be a list of kind of like scientific and mystical reasons why? You know, someone stole your pot of gold that's waiting for you at the end of the rainbow, so that's why you've had a crap week. I mean, can't you just have a crap week? I mean, let's face it. It's become very... Yeah. It's all become too meaningful, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and you do, but I think, you know, well, you can become out of alignment with, I mean, from my point of view, right, my belief system, you become out of alignment with your vortex. But if you think about it, when you think, it's like that when you wake up in the morning, isn't it? If you wake up and think, I'm going to have a bad day, it's likely you're going to have a bad day. So you can change that, I think. You know, if you sit there and just say, well, I'm having a bad day, I'm going to have a bad, you know, I'm in a bad mood, I'm in a bad mood, I'm in a bad mood, you're likely to stay there. But yeah, of course, you know, days just, you know, some days just get away from you, and that's how it is. But and you can't do anything about it. But yeah, I'm with you, absolutely. I don't think there's some big green gremlin sat on my shoulder that's deliberately going out of its way to ruin my day. I don't think the universe is built that way. I think, you know, yeah, you just have crappy days.
I just got a picture of David Desire in my head saying, death and destruction and the grim reaper sitting on my shoulder like a parrot. But, you know, that just came to me.
Oh,
okay, so
I was thinking about him this week.
Really? How odd is that?
Honestly,
good old David.
I honestly was. Because you know,
our lovely friend from London.
Yeah. And do you know why? Because strangely, I was thinking about the lyrics of a song that I might possibly write for the solo album, and I want to call it So Hard, and believe it. But I want it to be one of those. You know, I like to write lyrics people don't get what they're expecting. And
right.
I want to write it about some of the friends we've lost to it. You and I have lost to HIV, and his name obviously has to be there because sadly we lost David. But if you remember, and you obviously know this, we lost David very quickly. He was diagnosed actually with AIDS, and within 12 months he had gone. We didn't get any time to really deal with it. And poor David didn't, obviously. And so yeah, I was genuinely thinking of him this week. So there you go. See, we're sidekick. Oh, there you go. Don't knock the sidekick.
Don't start that. Don't phone in. So I omitted to say earlier, if you want to interact with us during the show, you can join in with us in the chat room. Keep scrolling down, and if it doesn't let you in, you have to sign in with Facebook or Twitter. I keep scrolling down. Get yourself signed in and join in the conversation. You can call us on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Or on Twitter, you can tweet us. Yes, you can indeed. My Twitter handle is at Xander Gibb, XanderGibb, capital X, capital G. Don't forget the all-important @ symbol. And Tyhe's Twitter handle is, go on, Tyhe, tell him your Twitter handle.
It's at Tyhe Paul Egar, which is a capital Tyhe, capital Paul, capital Egar. There you go.
Absolutely. Tweet me or Tyhe if you're too shy, and we will make your point for you. Oh, yes, we will. Now, something that really jumped out at me in the news this week, Tyhe, apart from being elated about the decision in Ireland to allow gay marriage, was
Ireland.
Comment. Go on.
No, I was just saying, Ireland. No, I'm not going to interrupt you. Go for it.
Was the comments of one Cardinal Raymond Leo Burke by name, Burke by nature. We've talked about him on this show before. Former head of the highest court at the Vatican, said that the vote to legalize homosexual marriage, or as we call it here in New York, marriage, was voted in Ireland. It was in defiance of God, and an action more depraved than that practiced by the pagans. So Tyhe's back's going to be up, but we'll tell you why right after this brief introduction. He said, I mean, this is in defiance of God. It's just incredible, said Cardinal Burke, speaking at the Newman Society of Oxford University's Catholic Society on May 27. Pagans may have tolerated homosexual behaviors, but they never dared say that this was marriage. Cardinal Burke made his remarks in response to a question at the Newman Society after he had delivered a speech on the intellectual legacy of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. I'm not going to go into the Roman numerals because I really don't care. In Ireland last week, as we've already said, the people there voted to legalize same-sex marriage, or as I said, as we're calling it in New York, marriage, 62.1% to 37.9% against. Now, commenting on the vote, the Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin said it was a defeat for humanity. Well, thank you for that, sir. The Church, the Catholic Church, defines marriage as a sacramental union between one man and one woman for life. Okay, I can accept that. By its very nature of the institution of marriage and married love is ordered to the procreation and education of offspring, allegedly, and it is in that it finds its crowning glory. Now, here's the thing for me. I thought that was all pertaining to holy matrimony, not marriage, not marriage as defined by the state. Now, in a 2013 interview, Cardinal Burke said homosexual marriage is a work of deceit, a lie about the most fundamental aspect of our human nature, our human sexuality, which after life itself defines us. There is only one practice in these types of lies, and they come namely from Satan, said the cardinal. It is a diabolical situation which is aimed at destroying individuals, families, and eventually our nation. Now, where the heck to begin with all of this? Let's start with the fact that he's attacked your beliefs as a pagan before we go anywhere else.
Yeah, well, also, so he said basically that pagans didn't acknowledge it, didn't call it marriage. Well, for a start, yeah, we did, but they stole it from us, the Romans. As I've said many times on the show, the symbology of the ring, that was a Roman tradition, because they thought, we know wrongly now, but they thought that the artery, the venal artery, went from the finger up to the heart. So the ring was the idea of the ring was circling that artery, saying, basically saying that I love you. This is a symbol of the heart. So marriage was stolen from the pagans. So Cardinal Burke, you can put that where the sun doesn't shine. Absolutely, pop that where the sun doesn't shine, sir. As far as I keep now saying, I'm buying the T-shirt. I'm having the T-shirts made. Hi, I'm gay. I'm tearing down the fabric of society. And if this is the kind of society he wants to live in, let's tear it down as quickly as we possibly can. Because I don't want people like him anywhere near children. His miseducation and his perpetual teaching of hatred needs to be put down as quickly and as fast and as certainly as possible. He's an idiot. His history is appalling. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And a majority of a country has said, you are wrong. We think this is normal and natural practice, and we want it to happen. So shut up and fuck off. Sorry, I swore, but there you go.
So here's the thing for me, and it seems to be the theme of the week. Now, I don't know if you heard about, there's a TV show here called 19 Children and Counting. And one of the people in that show, one of the Duggars, it's come out recently that he's sexually assaulted people, young girls in his family. So everyone's not everyone, a lot of people have come out in support of this and said that it's okay, it doesn't matter, it's not an unforgivable sin. Well, I actually think it's kind of alarming that someone who is this, born-again, conservative Christian person judging everybody who's gay and talking about the fact that that the mother of the family thinks that anyone who is transsexual is kind of using that as a kind of cover for pedophilia is damn well astounding to me. And then for people like Mike Huckabee to turn around and say it's okay, God forgives these things. Now, my first response is, and I really want to tell this guy this to his face, is that if he can turn around to that and say that it's okay for this guy and it's forgivable that he's been a pedophile. Now, I'm not likening pedophilia to homosexuality, so don't write in and bitch at me about that. But what I'm saying is, if you consider it to be gay to be a sin, how is it different from any other sin? And how can they even accept someone that's been a pedophile over that of a gay person? I mean, do you see the hypocrisy in all of this? I'm so astounded that they can respond like this publicly. I want to puke. I really want to puke.
But it's the same. Because I'll tell you why, Xander. They can overcome this because their church is full of pedophiles. Okay, it's the same as they can overcome the. Well, it's not allegedly, is it? How many have been prosecuted? How many have been outed? How many have been moved around? We know this. We know this to be fact.
Are you talking about within you're talking about within? Let me just clarify for legal purposes. You're talking about within the Catholic Church, not within the church that the Duggars go to.
No, sorry, within the Catholic Church, not within the church that Duggars go to. But I'm willing to bet that the numbers are fairly similar. And please feel free to come at me. You know, any of them, all of them. Please feel free to come at me. I've challenged the Westbury Baptists. They're nowhere to be seen because they wouldn't scare me. The Glasgow challenged the Westbury Baptist Church. They didn't show up. They're a bunch of cowards. They're all the same. Can you imagine how many monsters there must be in the Westbury Baptist Church? Because that kind of hatred, monsters hide in hatred, and we know that to be true. But the reason that all this is forgiven in the Bible, look through the Bible, and you can see it there. It's acceptable to lie down with a 12-year-old. You know, when a girl starts to menstruate, as far as they're concerned, she's easy game. Well, a girl can start menstruating at the age of 10 or 11 years old. Doesn't mean she's ready to have a partner. It just means that nature, for whatever reason, she started to menstruate early. But according to the Bible, that makes her a woman. Well, of course it does, because that man wants to take her because he can't control himself, and his base lust, his animal lust, he can't control. So he writes it down to, he makes it acceptable because it suits him. So therefore, paedophilia is forgiven because the man has needs and he can't control himself. So that's okay. Rape is okay because the man, again, he has animal instincts. He can't help himself. Look at the way that woman's dressed. What was she expecting? How does she expect to be treated? Well, hello, gentlemen. She expects to be treated with respect. If a woman wants to walk down the street in a bikini in the middle of winter, when she says no, it means no, because you're supposed to have self-control. So it's all balanced. Oh yeah, and when you look through any of these books, it's always the woman's fault, never the man. God forbid it should be the man's fault. Why should he have self-control? He's the man. She's a woman. She's a lesser being. But that's why it's all acceptable. When it comes to homosexuality, there's a different thing. Because they can't really explain. Because how do you explain that a man not being able to control himself with another man kind of not cancels itself out? Do you know what I mean? It's like science. Two negative magnets don't attract. Two positive magnets don't attract. So they can't really justify it, and it gives them a bit of a complex. So therefore, we become an abomination. We weren't always an abomination. In Roman and Greek times, if a homosexual chose to be a lover in a Roman household, that household was seen as closer to the divine, because gay people were seen as closer to the divine, closer to the gods. The gods blessed them. So it all changed around, and it's inferiority complexes and men who cannot deal with their own sexuality. That's where it all comes from. And we know this is now still true, because how many of these priests who have reared up against us and said we're abomination, we're shocking, we're terrible, are either found as paedophiles or they're found in a back room somewhere with another man inside them or inside another man. I'm being subtle there. I really wanted to swear again, and I apologise for swearing in the first place. I just got a bit angry. Which is, again, see, that's a man with no control. What can I tell you? I'm a man. But that's why all this happens. And again, we allow it to run roughshod over us. And he's at it again. This is another one that's at it again. I'd love to know what this man's private life's like. Burke, I'm talking about now, not the others. But again, all these rearing up over abominations. But the thing is, let's look back at this in 12 months when the entire gay community is laughing its ass off because the fabric of society will not have unraveled. There will be less gay divorces than heterosexual divorces. There will be less abuse in gay families than there will be in straight families. There will be less abuse, full stop, in straight marriages and in gay marriages and straight marriages. And they will find that we're probably setting values a little higher. And they'll find something else to have a go at. Do you know what I mean?
No, I wonder.
And it's all that. I'm done.
I want
Sorry,
to
I've
dial
ranted
this
enough.
back a little bit. I'm sorry. I want to just dial this back a little bit. You actually mentioned the Westboro Baptist Church there. I'm sorry, Baptist Church. And I thought it was kind of interesting that they attacked Ireland for kind of voting on gay marriage and pushing it through. And they got the colors of the flag in the wrong order. And so that total hate campaign was just seen as idiocy because they couldn't even get that right. They couldn't even get the yellow and the green in the right order. And it was Antigua or some other country's flag that they were using. Yeah. So I just, I kind of despair with these people. But this is the thing for me. As I get older, and I kind of get the impression you're the same. I don't know, 20 years ago I would have hated on these people, and now I kind of just feel sorry for them because as I evolve, I kind of see that the reasoning behind why they do these things, and it's not to make the world a better place or to make it any different or to be any more holy or to be right with God. Because let me remind you out there, Mike Huckabee and the likes of you, God sees everything. And while you are acknowledging that this is okay and forgivable for this guy to do this, what you're actually saying is you're encouraging people to go and do it. Because if God's going to forgive you, hey, why not just do it anyway,
Absolutely. And
so,
can I just say, ladies and gentlemen...
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, you're right, but I just wanted to there's a bit of a headline going on here, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it first on the Xandermonium show. Mr. Xander Gibb just admitted that he is, in fact, getting older.
Yeah, but I didn't say by how much, so be careful.
I'm going to be posting it on my website later.
Yeah, you tell people my age. I will start sharing pictures. I really, the thing for me about all of this is that whether you believe in the Bible or not, it doesn't change the fact that the Bible's main message is about love. And how can you have a premise like this which promotes hate when you're supposed to, when your guiding document it is about love? It kind of seems a little off kilter to me, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah. I think if you read most so-called holy books or spiritual books, if you read the original writings, they all started with great intention and great kindness and great love, and then other men got hold of them and destroyed them. And what you read now, or the translations that have been brought forward now, or the way people translate them now, it's just malice and anger and hatred and fear, and all those quite beautiful messages that were originally out there, and with wonderful people trying to share that message and trying to carry it forward, which had nothing to do with about who you slept with or who you loved, that had everything to do with how you shared what was in your heart and how you shared with other human beings. That was the original message, has been corrupted and translated into lies. And sadly, I don't know whether we'll ever get that back. But clearly there are still people out there who know the truth, because otherwise the world couldn't exist. We couldn't carry on forward, and we are carrying on forward, and people are learning, and young people, clearly, people are learning the truth, because we wouldn't be talking about Ireland in the way we're talking about it now, and we wouldn't be talking
Absolutely.
about the changes that are happening. So, so the people that live in the dark are running out of places to hide. They're running out of shadow. So things are changing for the better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there'll be hurt on the way. We can never avoid that.
And here's a little message for the Duggar family. People that live in glass houses should not throw stones, okay?
Yeah. Because we're watching. There's somebody watching it. Everybody's watching everybody. And that's the thing about the world these days as well. Technology, nobody's hiding anywhere anymore. You might think you are, but nobody is. And it's only a matter of time before somebody, particularly because when you put yourself out there, like we put ourselves out here, you can't bitch about that. Then when you start using technology will start using you. You can't. So don't ever think you're safe once you're out there. You start pointing a finger, somebody else will start pointing one at you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's kind of we talked about this last week, that when you start judging other people and bringing up things about them and their lives, you leave it wide open for them to do the same to you. And that's all I'm going to say on the topic. It's disappointing that people can't kind of like move with the times, because we talked about this before, Ty. I would never insist that it's acceptable for two men to go to a minister of religion and demand that they marry them. Now, if the minister of religion chooses to do that, then that's a totally different issue. But no one should be forced to do anything. They are talking about bringing in a bill now that will allow magistrates and justices of the peace to say, I won't marry two gay people because, it's against my religious beliefs. But where does this all end, if someone's being paid a wage to do a job, especially by the local authority, because let's face it, judges and justices of the peace are being paid by them. Whatever next? I'm not going to marry people that have blue eyes. I'm not going to marry people from Minnesota. I'm not going to marry people who like custard. I mean,
I think, you're right. I mean, if it gets to a point where justices of the peace and registrars, then you can't do their job. So go and find a new one, because that's got nothing to do with religion.
Go work at McDonald's for $15 an hour.
Yeah, then I have a problem with you. Yeah, definitely. I'm the same as you, and as you're right, we've always spoken about this. Under no circumstances should a priest or a woman of the cloth, whatever, a person of the cloth, be forced to marry somebody against their religion. I have no issue with that. But I have issue with somebody who is a normal Joe or Joette, whatever, Joanna, saying, no, this is against my religion. Well, I don't care. You're not doing a job that involves your religion. I'm not remotely interested. So either do it or get a new one. Yeah. So that then is, again, that's discrimination, and that's illegal. So, deal with it.
Absolutely. So, what have you got for us? What's your first story you have for us today, Ty?
I thought we'd go after all that raving. I thought we'd go with the lovely Taylor Swift, who basically has breezed in at the Forbes Most Powerful Women at number 64. Not to be sniffed at, I know. So she's gone from a reasonably successful country and western singer with a few respectable hits under her belt, and now she's the queen of the scene, thanking her ex for the success of her first major hit, which was a car crash breakup song I remember quite well, and always making sure her fans are the most important people in her professional life. Of course, now she has the Cats and Calvin Harris are the most important in her private life, and apparently in that order, although personally, Taylor, I know which one I'd rather have sat on my face. Her pure pop album, 1989, became the highest-selling U.S. album of 2014, selling, are you ready for this, 7.5 million copies worldwide. And my personal favourite thing she did, well done, Taylor, is she withdrew her entire catalogue from Spotify, stating that it was an unfair service and did not treat the artists properly or remunerate them properly. She's thrown surprise parties for fans and even shown up at their homes. She's shown consistently that she cares and is not slowing down. Lundy, and this is a biggie, last Sunday she broke YouTube records with the release of her star-studded music video for current single Bad Blood. And she even had her own emoji taking over Twitter for the promotion of the video that saved it all. So I'm saying, well done, Taylor, and I only ask one thing, or Xander and I only ask one thing. After you finish listening to tonight's show, please give the Bieber a call and give him a few words of advice.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure how it came back around to Bieber, but there you go.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Just these world stars. Everybody should be giving Bieber a bit of advice because I'm not convinced he's cured. So I just thought I'd throw that in because it was on. I mean, it was world headlines this week, number 6. And you may think, and I know people are thinking, well, that's just number 64 in the world's most powerful women. And I'm saying there are 7 billion people on the planet, and this girl has come in. She's 20 years old, at number 64 on the world's most powerful women list. I think that's damned impressive, personally.
It absolutely is impressive. I mean, I'm probably going to have to get my fact badge back for saying this, but I'm not particularly a big fan of Taylor Swift's music.
No,
but
me.
I like her. I kind of like her ideology, and I like the way that she kind of presents herself. You know, I mean, let's face it. Somebody said on the radio the other day that she was country, and I'm like, is she country? I thought she was like bubblegum pop.
No,
kind of thing.
Originally she was country and western. It was all very bluegrass kind of banjos and things. I think very, the early part of her career, and she was very successful at it. But as successful as a kind of teeny bop bluegrass can be. And then she got more and more pop orientated. And this last album, 1989, has really blasted her into the world's eye. But she's been coming up slowly and slowly. She's done it right. But she has. If you look all over her career, you can't think of one time where she has had a car crash in the press. I don't mean literally a car crash. You know what I mean? As in, there's never been any nastiness in the press about her. She's never done anything embarrassing. That's why I bring up Bieber. She's never done anything ridiculous in the press. Even her breakup, I think apparently she might have got a little stalky, apparently, of the ex, but she's never done anything
Patrick
to really...
Schwarzenegger or somebody else?
I think it was Schwarzenegger, wasn't it? But she's never done anything to really embarrass herself in the press. She's never, she's never come crashing out of a nightclub, smashed out of the face, or she's never done anything that she'd have to hang her head in shame about. She's kept herself respectable. She's kept some dignity. And for a 20-year-old with her success, I think that's really, good for her. And
my
the way she
main
treats
gripe,
the fans is incredible.
My only main gripe with her is this. I knew you were trouble when you walked in, so why didn't you kick his ass out in the first place?
Well, because we all like a bit of a bad boy, don't we? We've all been there, Xander. Cast your mind back.
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore, but
older.
We're old enough to be her parents, darling. So,
Oh,
we have no excuse.
I'm not old enough to be Taylor Swift's father.
Yes, you are. She's 20. Yes, you are. Get over it.
Is she? I would have been 50.
Isn't she 20,
I mean,
21?
Please. I was still
she might be
in
a bit
the
older than
convent
that.
when I was 15. Please.
Yeah. Yeah, you were trying to get into the convent.
Mother Superior would have been very surprised.
Yeah.
Don't you think you would rather someone wholesome as an example for young people? I mean, if you stand her next to Kendall Jenner, and you look at the difference. I mean, they're getting there's Kendall and Kylie Jenner. They're getting their butts out in public. They're kind of having plastic surgery and then lying about it. I mean, what kind of example are they to young people? I mean, I know Taylor's not perfect, but she's not out there every night, as far as we know, with a different guy and
she's
showing her
Harris
tattoos and who?
Calvin Harris is a big. Did you not know Calvin Harris? It's always my turn to tell you. Calvin Harris is a big DJ producer over here. Scottish, actually. He's very nice. That's right. I mentioned him in that little bit there. He's very tasty. She's dating him right now. So yeah, she's doing all right. She's not got anything to complain about. Yeah. But I think it's just a breath of fresh air, to be honest, that there is somebody in her position who is, behaving decently, the opposite of what we've been putting up with and listening to. I'm not keep mentioning his name. He's not promoting us. But it is. I think it is a nice, it is a nice change to see some. And also the way I keep going back to this, but the way she treats the fans, she's amazing with her fans. She's thrown part, that she's done gigs and the whole back rows that that are seated so far away. They don't stand a chance of seeing her up close. She's thrown private parties for them, and she's turned up at houses. She had the party not too long ago for people to hear the new album. She just invited them to her house, or she came to their house. I can't remember now what it was. And she's done some pretty amazing things for fans, which must take a lot of her time. And in her position, she's not going to have a lot of personal time. So,
right.
I applaud that, And just the way she's holding herself, just the way she's behaving, I applaud that more than anything. Because, as we said before, it's really important for young people to see that that's the way, you should behave, that you should be holding yourself to a higher example because of your situation, because of that place of privilege. You should be holding yourself to a higher example. So that's why I just went for that story. It's just a little bit of fluff, I know, but
absolutely. I would kind of rather 5 of her than both of those Jenner girls, because I just think this is the thing. When you're in a position like that, when you have a position in the public eye, you should actually use it properly. And I think that far too many flaunt it and actually give a bad example to the younger generation. And I think that's a bit of a worry. It really is.
Absolutely, I think it's a huge worry, because it's the same as, we had all these problems with the magazines airbrushing stars and whatever, and then we had all these young people with anorexia, bulimia, body dysmorphia and all this. So, I mean, now this is a good thing. It's starting to work in the opposite direction, sort of. Kids are saying, oh, well, actually, it's not good to behave in such a way. This is the way to go. And even though they may be copying somebody else, it's still at least they're adopting civility and normalcy, right, as opposed to this outrageous drug using, alcohol, infused behaviour. So, all power to her. Same as you. It's not my taste, particularly in music, but it's certainly my preferred behaviour of a pop star or an actor. Speaking of which, shall we give him a little plug while we're on the subject?
Why not? You feel free to fire away.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, my future ex-husband. As you know, we always have. I think he's coming on soon for the new record. But new record. How old am I? Just let me get my Zimmer straight. Oh, I love being me sometimes.
Get your gramophone on, dear.
Yes, we have. There's at the moment at Studio C Theatres up until June the 6th, which I know is a very short time away, but haven't had long. But Studio C Theatre, which is on Santa Monica Boulevard, that's California, folks. So if you're listening in Glasgow, you're a long way from it. But anyway, it's a play called All the Dead Lie Down, written by Harrison David Rivers and directed by John Coppola, starring the fabulous Colton Ford and Kyla Paquette. Now, all the details, the details are huge. So rather than try and give them all to you here and take up half a show, frankly, I've been a very, very nice human being because I am a huge fan of Colton's work. If you go to my website, www.tpegar.com, on the home page, there is a photo of Colton looking rather gorgeous. If you just click on that, it will take you to the site and you can book tickets. It will take you to the site of the theatre's homepage and you can book tickets there. So the play is called And All the Dead Lie Down, and it's starring Colton and Kyla Paquette, and it's on till June the 6th. Okay? So go to www.tpegar.com and you can book tickets there, or you can go directly to the site, Studio C Theatre site, okay, which will have details for. So there you are, Colton, and Break a Leg. And we would have gone to see it, obviously, but neither of us are in California anytime soon, and it's only until June the 6th, so get yourselves there. He's a very good actor, by the way. I have seen him at work as a legitimate actor, and he's a very talented man, so it's well worth going to see. End of plug.
Absolutely, not just eye candy. So I think there's about a week left for that. So get
June
yourself
6th,
along there and tell Colton that Tyhe and Xander sent you. Oh, yes, indeed. I'm just looking to see. Yeah, I think it's got one more week left.
June the 6th. June the 6th is the last evening. Yes.
Absolutely. So let's go from one. I had an amazing segue plan there, but it just didn't work. From one fabulous young lady, I don't mean Colton, I'm talking about Taylor Swift, to another, Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson's daughter, stepped out onto a red carpet with her boyfriend, Chester Callalaw, for the first time recently in Beverly Hills. The 17-year-old who attempted suicide in 2013 following her father's death in 2009, later checked into a rehab facility in Utah for treatment. and apparently looked healthier than ever as she posed alongside her soccer-playing beau, who is 18, at the opening night of Deaf West Theater's production of Spring Awakening. The legendary late singer's daughter will soon be the star herself, playing the lead role in an up-and-coming film, London's Bridge, spelt with a U, not as in London, United Kingdom, and The Three Keys are scheduled to be released in 2017. Jackson and Castillo were first photographed hiking in Los Angeles this past April and are both listed as in a relationship with each other on their Facebook pages. Thank God for social media. It's pleasing that Paris is getting on with her life after such sadness, because I have to say I've been a little bit worried about her in the past couple of years, but it's good to see that this beautiful young woman is stepping out of that phase of her life and is on doing something more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one of the people I think who deserves to be happy, having been drawn into such a massive family world, you know, with no choice as a child, and that, you know, so young, trying to take her own life. So I do genuinely hope she's extremely happy, and continues that way.
Absolutely. I think there's always a price to be paid for young people in the limelight, whether they're actually famous themselves or the offspring of famous people. I mean, let's face it, Michael Jackson was a superstar, like internationally known. And I think when he died, it left a hole in a lot of people's hearts, whether they were fans of his or not. And I think that, let's face it, if that's your dad, and, you know, regardless of what other people have to say about him, you love him. And I I was concerned for a while that, you know, I know she attempted suicide and stuff. I was concerned that she was going to actually try again. But it's really heartwarming that she's turned it around, don't you think?
Absolutely. And it just, I mean, because it was, wasn't it? I mean, the worry always is in that situation, is it, that they're not really going to get help? Because there are always, you know, people that, oh, don't worry, you know, somebody say, I'll help, and actually those people, they're just trying to take their own advantage. You know, you can never really tell what's going on. So I'm really pleased for her, and I'm pleased that she is getting, you know, having a life, a normal life for a teenager. You know, she's got a boyfriend and she's enjoying herself. So more power to her.
Yeah, I'm not out getting tattoos and piercings and smoking drugs and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I don't know. I think it's very hard for young people in the public eye to stay on the straight and narrow and not do stupid things. I think it's hard for any young person to do that, but I think that when you're under scrutiny, it's even more difficult. But I don't know. I just wish people that had that opportunity would use it a bit more wisely.
Yeah, but I don't know how. I suppose it's that bubble, though, isn't it? It's living in that bubble. I mean, it must be so easy to get lost in when you don't have somebody. That's the problem, isn't it? As young people, when they don't have that somebody giving them genuine advice, and not being able to move out of it. I mean, for her father really genuinely was the king of pop, wasn't he? There was nobody on the planet more, as a musician, more famous than Michael Jackson. And whether you loved his music or not, you knew who Michael Jackson was.
Absolutely.
And his behaviour was the most eccentric I can think of. He must have been a strange parent. You know, I don't care what he was like off camera. He was a strange man, and it must have been easy to get caught up and lost in that Neverland place.
But do you think those kids thought that he was strange? I mean, I think that, you know, from the outside looking in, it's a totally different thing from the inside looking out, because they wouldn't have seen anything less than normal, because that's what they'd lived through. That's what they.
No, they would.
Do you know what I mean?
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't, but they would see. But can you imagine how they would see the rest of the world if they saw that as normal?
Yes, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It must have been a real mind trip for them to think, you know, to grow up thinking that was normal and then step out into the world and see what was going on out here. Can you imagine? That would be like the worst acid trip ever, I think, personally.
Absolutely.
So it's no wonder, you know, that she felt that way. And what's his son dealing with? What's everybody, you know? Because I was thinking, actually, this week, again, you see, psychic. It's you know, that you've chosen this story. I was thinking I was wondering about Janet Jackson as well this week. I'm wondering, I thought she'd be very quiet. What's happened to the family? Because one of the brothers is popped up out of the fabric as well. I think he's starting to record again, or he's going to tour again. But the whole family have lived in this kind of afterlife, really, haven't they? I mean, they've just lived in this bizarre world all their lives.
Well, I think he was the most famous of all of them, wasn't he, really? And even though Janet was pretty famous, she still, even as much of a superstar as she was in the 80s and early 90s, she still kind of lived in his shadow, really.
Yeah. Well, she certainly was. She was the next one who was as famous. I mean, everybody knew who Janet Jackson was. She was the one. I think she was the one that came out. I think Janet was the one that was the least mentally scarred of the two of the three. Because I mean, LaToya, bless her, should have been heavily medicated for years. I think she was cloud cuckoo land for a long time. The other brothers just seemed to stay out of the way, really.
And there was a rumor in the 80s that Michael used to go out dressed as LaToya. Did you know that? Because they do look very much alike. At one point, their surgeries were very similar. I don't know if they used the same surgeon or what, but at one point, they did look like very similar.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I mean, but then that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think she was damaged goods as well, or is damaged goods. But I remember the stories of her. She was with an abusive partner for quite a long time, and then she started selling her stories. But she turned on Michael as well, didn't she? She said, yes, I do think he's a paedophile, and she was, you know, those kids are in danger around him. And I remember those stories. She became very, very cold and calculating for a while, but it backfired on her. And then she did vanish, and I've no idea what she's up to now, or what she's doing. But you know, it's been a very dark and sad story, their family history. So I hope she does manage to break away from it and not break away from the fact. I mean, you know, if there are people around her who love her, then long may they continue to be around her. But I hope, you know, she manages to break away from the dark side of that family, the darkness, and have a great life and have a great time and go out and, you know, have fun like a young woman should.
Absolutely, and you know, that's it really is a kind of an echo, you know, of the whole show. That is really, I don't know. I just kind of feel I feel it's just very sad. I mean, you know, people were willing to speculate about Michael Jackson, but here's the thing for me, and I've said this all along. I think whether he actually did any of those things or not, you should never put yourself in a position where people can point the finger, because to me, you leave yourself wide open. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But that was the thing, wasn't it? I mean, you know, so many people jumped on the Jackson bandwagon that the list, you know, I mean, it would take this. It would like the list at the end of a movie, wouldn't it? You know, the notes at the end of a movie, the amount of people who said, "Oh, we were friends," or tried to sell him down the river, or tried to sell their story, whatever. So, you know, there are a lot of people out there that should be hanging their heads in shame, I think, frankly, and a lot of people who profess to be friends that weren't. I think one of the, do you know, weirdly, Uri Geller, who do you remember Uri Geller?
Yes, I do. He's Spoonbender.
Spoonbender and self-professed psychic. But I think he was genuinely a friend of Michael Jackson, and he seemed, he was heartbroken. But he never really sold any stories. He kept out of the way, and he still won't really talk about him much. He did one interview about him that I'm aware of. But really, kept himself to himself about it. But even in the end, everybody seemed afraid of Michael. The doctor was still saying, "Oh, what could I do?" He demanded the pills. I said, "Well, you could have said no, and yes, you'd have lost your job, but you could have, I would have rather had my integrity than a check at the end of the year, and also he might still have been alive." So that, again, I know we've got back onto him rather than Paris, but again, there's still that huge chasm in our life. Again, there's always people, running around saying yes, 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 for the sake of themselves, not the sake of her or her father. So that's the other reason I'm hoping that she's brave enough to step away and strong enough to step away from those people, and let's hope the boyfriend's there for legitimate reasons. That's the important thing as well, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Having support and love.
Yes.
Support and love for real,
Because I think that when you are moneyed, or you are kind of well known or related to someone well known, I guess that must always make you want to challenge the interactions from people. It must always make you question, as in whether they're genuine or not.
They're going to be obvious insecurities there, aren't there? Why is this person here, there, or talking to me or wanting to be with me? There's no question that's going to be there. So let's. But then we don't know anything about him, so let's not cast aspersions on him. He could be from a very well-respected family. I don't know anything about him at all. In fact, I didn't know anything about this until you brought the story to me. So I'm just reacting on positive vibes. I'm sending positive vibes to her. There you go. Let's hope her moon is in retrograde or whatever, and love is in the 7th house, sweetie. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what is your second story of the day for us in the time that we have left, Tyhe?
In the time we have left, oh my God, right, okay. Well, I've taken some of these notes to just let you know. I was reading this lovely lady's piece. So I've taken some of these notes from a reporter called Gwen Moran, who has done this piece in a Guardian called Guardian Telegraph. Tech, basically saying tech will become the great equalizer, but robots might take our jobs. And I thought, oh, great, fabulous, more good news.
Does not compute.
I know. So, but it was interesting because I remember we did a little, now people probably won't remember, but about a year ago we did a little piece about this. So I've just expanded on it, but I've taken a few quotes from her in an interview she did. So, but this is coming on about Apple Watches and things. I thought we would do this again, obviously, because of this launch. So here we go. Technology will be embedded into just about everything we do over the next 10 years, according to Erik Brynjolfsson, professor of Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Sloan School of Management and director of MIT Center for Digital Business. He's also the co-author of The Second Machine Age, Work, Progress, and the Prosperity in a Time of Brilliant Technologies. So, if you have a new idea, you'll be able to reach the last billion people born on the planet easily, and we will see the people rising as millionaires and billionaires within this technological growth. It's expected that wearable technology will flood the market and take the lead when it comes to the collection and sharing of data, which is a scary thing. We will have specific controlled data delivered to us and marketed for us, which will be taken, of course, from information shared from our personal information acquired through the tech we are using every day. But bearing in mind, it was also predicted that people's personal fitness would rise by 42% and said obesity would drop by around 46%. So the real challenge will be, I know, so the real challenge will be how companies deal with the challenges of how they promise to protect your personal data and recording of information.
Oh,
so basically, So is Big Brother watching or sitting in your living room chatting with your partner? But here comes the real problem. This gift of technology is either our Star Trek or Star Wars future. This interconnected technology will change how goods and services are delivered, and it will hollow out a number of skilled jobs. Brynjolfsson says, clerical work, bookkeeping, basic paralegal work, and even some types of reporting will become increasingly automated, contracting the number of jobs available and causing a drop in wages. And while more technology might create new and different types of jobs, so far we've seen more job loss than creation in these areas, he said. So here's what could maybe happen for a lot of people who work in areas of trade that currently feature semi-skilled human input. They'll be replaced, basically. A lot of business is now done on social media platforms and app-related industry. This is where it's expected our new entrepreneurs will flow from. So don't dream about your new jetpacks and ray guns. Get your computer skills up to date and think of something clever to pitch in an elevator to some smart-ass 20-year-old who owns New York. So there you go. So if you want a job working for Pride Voyager, ladies and gentlemen, give me a call. Because I'm going to own New York.
Absolutely. One thing that came to me... Go on.
Go on. No, I was just going to say that's everything is, do you know what I mean? I know, sorry. But you're going to be but a lot of people are saying, you know, that Apple have got it together with this watch, that people are really going to, because they're talking about glasses as well, that people are going to be able to wear, that they're going to use. So, you know, your phone is always going to be with you, but you're going to use your watch to communicate with the phone and the glasses. And so these things are going to constantly be sucking up all the information, you know, and monitoring everything, literally everything that you tune into.
That's kind of a worry so close to your face, because obviously cell phones give off radiation, so they would have to find a way that to kind of not have that happen.
But no, because this is about digital sharing, so it would only be a projection onto the screen, so it wouldn't need any kind of transmission to anywhere near the power of a mobile phone. And also, they've not really proved there's any correlation between brain tumors and mobile phones. Particularly, but this would simply be just a projection. So the same as looking at a computer screen. Your computer screen doesn't really give off any massive kind of microwave or whatever or wave.
No, it does give off radiation, but it's so minimal that it's less than.
Yeah.
You know, you get more radiation from going and having an X-ray than like 3 years of watching TV and your laptop, your computer screen. You know, it's so inconsequential. But what did kind of jump into my brain when you were talking about these things was how Facebook has harnessed this and is selling our information without our permission, I hasten to add, and that's a concern to me. And all the time, you know, I can go onto a website now. If I'm looking for a T-shirt, within 2 minutes on Facebook there is an advert for a T-shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. But
and
the thing about
scares
Facebook
me.
but the thing about Facebook actually is, you know, when people say, "Oh, they've done that without my permission," if you look very closely at what your privacy things, you actually have given them permission. You've got to not give them permission to do things, and they change privacy really quickly. So, but what happens is when you click on something you're interested in, that is then the information is then shared with others. But you've given permission because you clicked on that site, and that's how it works. It's very clever.
Yeah.
But the point of that is so they're not really sharing information without your permission. But what they're not doing is asking your permission and saying, well, actually, this, you know, when you click on this is what's going to happen. So they're not giving you all the information you need, but they're not breaking the law. But it is genius. And also, see, this is the thing, and I'm sorry I'm going to do it shamelessly, but this is the thing about Pride Voyager. This is what we're not going to do. But it is going to get huge, and when it goes global, we are going to, you know, people are going to sell their wares on Pride Voyager. They're just not going to be allowed to take your information personally from the site. It's up to you if you want to share it. Where you know, Facebook does it in reverse, so you are sharing your information because you're contacting those sellers. But that's how it's done. But this is exactly so what they're saying about technology in the next, you know, 10 years, because this is going to be by the year 2025. They're predicting this. What they're saying is, it's going to be most people are going to make their money or their living on social media or social media platforms or this kind of technology. They're going to work out.
Some people already are.
So, you know, but manual labor is going to become less. So the problem is, what do all these people do? Because we can't have a world of people unemployed, because then, you know, who are you going to? We need consumers to consume.
Exactly.
You know, so what's going to happen?
Some people sitting on their ass on their sofa all day in order to be able to take up the things that are being offered and sold.
Of course we do, but we can't have people dying though of ill health. So we need fitness. So we do need to work all this out. But the problem is now: are we going to work it out? Because to me, this is where herein lies the problem. Because, you know, there was a question asked not too long ago: do we really want big business running the world, or do we want politicians running the world? Well, personally, and I know this might freak you out and other people, well, ideally neither. But if I was going to have one or the other, I'd rather have business running it, because they want to achieve, and they want consumers. to consume. So I think they would treat you better. You would get a better living way of life through that than you will politicians, because politicians want to control, and the way they do it is by improving their way of life, their cost of living, or their living lifestyle, which doesn't make sense. Now, obviously, business does better from that because they're holding the politicians to ransom. So Tesco, for example, or Walmart, are doing great, but only to a certain degree, because they have to pay their staff, and they don't want to pay the staff that much. Do you know what I mean? It just becomes this chain of events that doesn't really work in the long run. And if technology takes over, Walmart actually are going to get in trouble because people want things delivered, or they're going to buy it online, and Walmart's going to get more and more in trouble. We're not thinking ahead fast enough. Technology is changing quicker than we are thinking about it, so that all needs to change. So that's what interests me, and we're already changing, obviously.
The long-term ramifications of these things are actually, if you think about them too long, become very frightening. But Tyhe, that brings us to the end of today's show. Anything you would like to share? Anything you would like to direct people to? Anything you want them to buy or look at or join?
Well, if you haven't yet come to us at pridevoyages.com, come and join us. Obviously, membership's free at the moment. Pridecouples.com is now live if you're looking for your other half. Whatever. And Xander's book is available. Get Xander's book bought. Why have you not bought it?
Absolutely, makes a wonderful doorstop. And Tyhe's book,
I know we never... I never think of selling us, really. I'm too busy selling somebody else.
Yeah.
But there you go. Check out our website. Everything's on there. The information's on our website.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out Tyhe's website, www.tpegar.com. And my website address is www.xandergibb.com. All the information regarding today's show and all the shows is available on there. And you can also listen to back episodes there too, or you can go to Blog Talk Radio for that. Also, we have Tony next week. He will be coming to give us another Lusaka report.
Cool.
And
he always scares the life out of me.
We had Sarah on last week, and she was disappointed that you weren't around. So hopefully we'll have her back in the next couple of weeks.
We did chat on Facebook.
Absolutely.
I know. We chatted on Facebook. I did say I'm sorry, but I couldn't be here. But I did rant and rave at the Eurovision Song Contest because people were voting for Russia. I was throwing things at the TV.
Absolutely. I actually told people last week, I said, Tyhe's not here because he's at a party with a load of puffs, basically.
It was true.
So, So thanks to everyone that's made today's show possible. Thanks to Tyhe for co-hosting. Thanks to you for listening and for your continued support. What are we going to play out with, Tyhe?
I think we'll go with you today, seeing as... because
why not everybody else has? All right, let's have a look. Let's I'm trying to think. Try.
Ideal one.
All right. So
Sounds from the airways. Ideal
Gibb,
one.
This is absolutely good night from me and goodbye from
me. That would be Tyhe.
Bye-bye.
Farewell.
Bye.
Aha, you're my ideal one. Love is gone.